Eberechi Eze may have scored 35 points in the last 3 game weeks, and loads of you are buying him, but big man, former world number 4, welcome to the show, mate. You're looking to maybe sell Eze. We'll get to that in a bit. How you doing, mate?
Hello, Gianni. Hello to all the listeners and viewers. Yeah, things are going well. It's been a great week. Good to see Eberechi Eze, like you mentioned, 35 points in the last 3 weeks. One of the main reasons why I've sort of broken into the top 50K. I've had another good week this time yet again. So, yeah, I mean, just 2 weeks left. I'm hoping I can continue on my streak of 13 green arrows. I think I'm on 12, so I'm hoping I can make it 14 before the end of the season. That would be a nice end, and that would be a very strong finish to what has been a thoroughly enjoying season.
Yeah, it's enjoying for you. I'm glad you've had a good one. I've had a shocker, but I must, mate. We keep going into these Friday streams, and you go, oh, gee, your team looks really good this week. You're gonna have a big green arrow. Your team looks better than mine. You've said it a few times, and every week you're outscoring me. It's crazy. So fair play, because picks like Eze have been absolutely inspired. Like, he owes you. You backed him earlier on in the season, but also when everyone wildcarded, including yourself, so many went Mateta, not Eze. You went without Mateta, which you knew was backing against the obvious, and you went Eze, and boy, has he delivered for you.
I mean, obviously, I needed a bit of luck to go my way as well. Nketiah sort of emerged as an option. Mateta started getting subbed early. Mateta lost his penalties, and Eze just took over as the main talisman, which exactly wasn't looking evident at that point. I went with Evanilson over Mateta, and Evanilson's been someone who did really well as well. So just all the pieces of the jigsaw just came together nicely, and I'm hoping that I'm not exhausting all my luck this season. I'm hoping I can carry some of it into the start of next season as well.
Yeah, okay. Mate, let's just keep on Eze and Crystal Palace for a second, and then we're going to see more about the most transferred in players. In fact, let's go to that most transferred in players now, so we can see Eze is at number 2. How do you feel about Eze? Because you're looking to sell him. Is this... If Crystal Palace win or lose, or play 90 or play 120, regardless, do you just think it's too risky going into a Friday deadline with a Saturday FA Cup final and then not playing to the Tuesday? Are you just fancying him not to start that football match on Tuesday night? Or is it just too risky for you?
Yeah, I mean, we can debate for hours and hours about his X minutes, but the fact of the matter is that we won't know what Crystal Palace's result is before the deadline. So we can only make an educated call on the basis of the information we have available, and that information is suggesting that Eze could be at risk of not starting. So, I mean, I have Saar in my team as well, so I'm potentially looking at this week as one where I can potentially sell at least one of my Palace mids, if not both. I have one free transfer, so I'm going to use one of that to get rid of Eze. If I had 2, I would have probably sold Saar as well, but I just don't think it's worth sort of getting rid of all the Palace players for a hit. But if you have free transfers at your disposal, then I think selling Eze kind of makes sense, or Saar for that matter.
Yeah, we'll talk about Watkins later in the show, guys. He is the most transferred in, but when we get to captaincy, we'll talk about Ollie Watkins. So stay tuned for that. We'll do that at the end of the show. And if you're enjoying it, by the way, guys, please do hit that like button. We don't often do these pre-recorded videos, but we want to bring you extra short videos, especially of Bigman's team who's doing so well. So please support our journey by liking, by commenting, but also if you could subscribe, that would mean the world to us. We really want to get to 10K by the end of the season, and you can help us doing that by clicking subscribe today. Beto, he's cheap, and he's just done very well versus Fulham, and now he's got a home fixture versus Southampton. Do you get that love, big man? I can understand why so many are going Beto for a bit of a short-term punt.
I can see why, but yeah, I mean, personally, when I look at my team, I don't think I have interest in Beto because I have a decent squad. I mean, I have Wissa, I have
You've got Evan Nilsson in there, and Isak, yeah.
Evan Nilsson, exactly. So I haven't exactly looked at any budget forwards as an area where I can go for transfers. But Beto's a good buy, but I think if you're buying a forward this week, you should resort to Watkins. I think Watkins just has the much higher ceiling. Everton, I know it's their last home fixture this season. They'll obviously be very determined to go out with a bang, playing their last game at Goodison. And it's obviously the fixture against Southampton is good as well. But I think the ceiling that a Villa attacker offers this week is certainly higher. So I think if you're looking for a forward, then I think Watkins makes more sense.
Yeah, okay. Explosive mids of Kevin Schade and Bowen, both on red hot form. Like they've both produced. I think Shade's 4 goals in 3 games. Maybe Bowen is 3 in 3 off the top of my head. So both very, very good. We understand why you'd want to back them. And then Wissa was obviously the big transfer in last week. Blanked, but Brentford against. I really like the Brentford fixture versus Fulham. And if we'll talk about Mbermo captaincy later as well. But Brentford versus Fulham, that's their big game for Brentford. They win that in European football next season, feel secure. Fulham have just conceded 3 to Everton. Fulham maybe have Andre Silva off in the summer and are on the beach. The matchup there is really nice for Brentford. I'm fancy Brentford, and I think Mbermo should be getting a lot of love with the armband. But look, let's have a look at some players to watch, big man. You've identified 4 here. Now, spoiler alert, one of these is very likely coming into your team, but players to watch. Kick us off with Cole Palmer.
Yeah, so there are 4 players I think are worth talking about this week. I think Cole Palmer is number 1 on that list. So, spoiler alert, I'm looking at Ezra Palmer from my team this week. I do think that Palmer is the best captaincy option. Looking at how the fixtures are, I agree with you when you say that you like the Brentford matchup against Fulham. I think that if I was not captaining Palmer this week, I would probably look at Mbomo from my team. But let's say if I had to rank the captaincy, maybe Palmer, Watkins, and Bomo would be the way I look at it. But Palmer, in my opinion, is high in that list. And because I'm looking to get rid of a Palace player, I assume a lot of people are in that boat where they own either Sarr or Eze. And if they can afford this transfer to Palmer, I think it makes a lot of sense to do it because you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're getting rid of a player who might get rotated and someone who then has a fixture way to um, Liverpool away in game week 38. I'm referring to the Palace Mets. And then you're also buying a differential captain this week who has a very high ceiling. Now, I know Palmer's recent record isn't the greatest, but very recently, like 2 weeks ago, he was playing at home to Liverpool, who practically had nothing to play for, and he got nine points in that game as well. So the situations are very similar. Where United there's just a terrible defense, and you'd expect Chelsea to do well, considering what Chelsea have to play for and the fact that United have little to no motivation left to play for in the league. So I really like Palmer as an option this week.
Yeah, it's worth noted. The fixtures it's Man United Chelsea on the Friday deadline. Then Chelsea don't play till the following Sunday, so they've got like 9 days off. And then the week after that, so the end of the season, the 28th of May, is Chelsea's cup final. So it is worth noting that, like, it's not the same as Man United Spurs, which comes before game week 38 for their European final. Chelsea's comes at the end of the season, so you don't have to worry when you're buying Palmer that always he got a big final before game week 38. No, that comes after. I appreciate that with Palmer, man. Like, it's a proper differential in terms of ownership around your rank. We know his ceiling. We know his form's not been great, but he did have that one good game 2 weeks ago, or 2 game weeks ago. The analytics crowd, FPL review style, they all have Palmer as the best for points this week. Are you surprised by that, big man? You've said for a while you're going to go Palmer this week, but is it just a case of targeting Man United? Is it because, players like Mbermo for you have a great fixture? Why are you sure you're going to go Palmer for captaincy?
So when you look at these analytic models like FPL Review, they take into account the market odds as well, and the market is really hot on Chelsea beating United this week. And let's say this was early in the season, a fixture like Brighton versus Liverpool would have Salah much higher, but because Liverpool are practically on the beach, Slot was spotted in Ibiza, and apparently some of the Liverpool players are in Dubai partying. So
Yeah.
the motivation questions, the motivation levels are definitely questionable for Liverpool. That's why I don't exactly look at Salah as a pick with a very, very high ceiling. Yes, he can do well. I'm happy to keep him, but he's not someone I think I would want to trust for the armband this week. Another point I want to mention on Palmer is that why I think it sort of works well for my team for the rest of the game weeks is because I don't have a lot of interest in holding on to Palmer for game week 38. Let's say if in 38 all my players are starting, then I don't think I will hold on to him. I mean, I'm okay holding him because it's a fixture away to Forest, and Forest, I mean, the defense has basically collapsed in recent weeks. The defensive rate has gone downhill over the past few weeks. But it's still a fixture where ideally I would want to have someone like a Saka. So I think this transfer, where if I can get Palmer in my team and I can have the structure set up that way, I can then simply just sell Palmer for Saka in 38 and possibly even captain Saka if need be against a Southampton defense, which is there for the taking.
Yeah, I like that. Palmer does give you that out to Saka in 38. Ollie Watkins so transferred in, big man. We understand why. Just evaluate that risk of selling. For many, it's selling Isak to get to Watkins. Very not, yes, Mateta to Watkins or Marmoush to Watkins would be on the wish list for many, but the price difference between them is too big for many managers to make in one move. So it will be Isak out for Watkins in for the majority. Do you like that move? Because that's not a move you're going to be making. You're an Isak owner, right? So Isak in 38 has Everton at home, for example.
So I like Watkins a lot as an option this week. I mean, I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think if not Palmer, then I'm looking at Watkins, someone who can offer similar ceiling because Spurs are just terrible. And Villa have a lot to play for. Very similar reasons for me going for Palmer versus United as compared to Watkins. I mean, Villa are firing on all cylinders, high ceiling. Spurs have nothing to play for. It's a home game for Villa. I'd expect Villa to do well. It is, I mean, I won't be owning Watkins this week, but I am fairly conscious of his high ownership because, as you mentioned in the previous slide, we saw that Watkins has been transferred by 145k people at the time of recording, and we expect this number to rise exponentially over the course of the week simply because of his form and the content creators who are bringing him in. That number is set to rise. I would expect him to be highest captain this week as well. So if you look at some of the polls on social media, you would see that Watkins is probably highest in terms of being the most popular captain. I think if you're in a position where you can't afford, let's say, Palace mid to Palmer, then Isak to Watkins could be an okay move for captaincy this week because it gets you, I think, in my opinion, the next best captain. But I think I would not be making that transfer if I was chasing because you're essentially getting a very highly owned player and then you're getting rid of Isak, who could do well at home to Everton in game week 38 as well. So while I understand the merits of the move, I think it's a move only for people who are trying to consolidate rank as opposed to those who are chasing.
Interesting. I'm chasing, and it is something I'm really hesitating on. Maybe it'll be Watkins in, but then differential on captaincy for me. I'm not entirely sure yet. But Watkins, when we look at those fixtures, we can see Spurs and Man United. Now, just so you've got a timeline, if you are looking to buy Ollie Watkins this week, guys. So he plays Spurs on Friday. That's the deadline, right? The Europa League final is in Bilbao on Wednesday night. So there's 5 days before that final. We expect Spurs and Man United. I expect both of them on Friday night to put out fairly strong teams because Spurs especially, because Spurs played the B team at the weekend. I think that'll be fairly strong versus Villa. Doesn't mean they're going to keep a clean sheet. I'm not saying that. Like Spurs' first team is still very, very loose. But for the final day of the season, for Ollie Watkins in particular, it's Sunday the 25th of May. It's only 4 days after that final in Bilbao. If Man United win, a huge party for Man United. I don't expect them to turn up for that game week 38 fixture versus Villa. And if they lose, wow, that is not going to be a nice place to be. I especially don't expect them to turn up against Villa on the final day. So regardless of the outcome, for Ollie Watkins in 38 against Man United especially, I actually think it's the 38 fixture, which is even better than the 37 fixture, given the fact it's after the final and it's only 4 days after. So part of the appeal with Watkins is those two fixtures for sure. We've spoken about Sarr and Eze and the fear of rotation and then missing out, and obviously Liverpool on the final day. So, big man, I think we should probably have a look at your team. Before we do, guys, we would love
just a point I'd like to mention.
Go on.
Yeah, please like and subscribe to the channel. Sorry to interrupt you, G. I just wanted to mention one last point. While I would be hestant on the Isak to Watkins, I did mention the reasons for it. I think it's a much easier move for people who are on Marmoush or Mateta. I'm not keen on trusting Marmoush's minutes and Mateta's minutes at all. So I think it's an easy transfer in that way. In that case, Isak to Watkins could work out as well, but as mentioned earlier, it depends on the risk appetite you're chasing.
Yes, okay. What if you're on Cunha, big man, like me?
I mean, that was a horrid performance from him. I mean, at the weekend, I think he was lucky not to be sent off. I saw that tackle where he conceded the penalty, and I was expecting the ref to give a red. And then he got hooked at the 58-minute mark. Do you expect him to start in 59, in
I mean,
30, 37, 38?
yeah, I expect him to start those two games, but if he has a bad performance, then Pereira hasn't been afraid to hook him or any of those players.
Yes.
So it's I quite like Cunha's fixture versus Palace because again it's the hangover from the FA Cup 3 days later. I expect Wolves to get something. And then 38, yeah, like who knows with Wolves. I mean, Wolves don't have anything to play for, but they haven't for the last few weeks, and they've been really good. On the final day they play Brentford, it's a tough game. So I think I'm going to stick with Cunha, but I'm not 100% sure. If I could go Cunha to Watkins in one move, I probably would. But that's I'm priced out of that. So yeah, going to be interesting to monitor how Wolves and Cunha look. I mean, Cunha's playing for a move. We know that. We know he's very likely to go to Old Trafford, but two big performances for the end of the season might just mean a slightly better contract. I think they're similar with De Bruyne. When contracts are up for grabs, whether they're staying at the club or not, De Bruyne knows everyone's watching him. Every suitable club that might sign De Bruyne, especially the Premier League clubs that have been linked, the likes of Villa and Liverpool. I can't see him staying in the Premier League. But of course, you put in two massive performances and it might just help those contract negotiations for your new club. So eyes are on them. Okay, let's have a look at your team then, big man. Where are we at going into game week 37?
Yeah, so last week I made a last minute transfer based on the Marmoush League. I went Marmoush to Wissa, and I'm actually glad I went that way because I was considering selling Saliba to Neko Williams. You might recall, Gianni, and I mean as you saw uh, that he got a 1 pointer. I played Konza, he got a 5 pointer. So yeah, things kind of worked out despite the fact that Wissa blanked. I'm happy to have him in place for the last two fixtures. So yeah, this is my team. I think I can afford Eze to Palmer in one move, and that's a transfer I think I would almost certainly make. Apart from that, I think Mbomo will probably be my vice captain. I don't see the defense changing as much. I've had defensive headaches, benching headaches in recent weeks, but this week I think it looks relatively straightforward, if I may put it that way. Because when you look at the clean sheet odds for the bookmakers, they have it exactly the way I have set it up, with double Villa over Palace and Arsenal. Would you play Henderson over Martinez or Kivior over Konsa, Gianni?
I definitely play Konza over Kivior. I think you've got that right. I expect Newcastle to score. I actually think that's why Isak's such a dangerous sell. Isak's just beaten Arsenal 2-0 and 2-0 again. So 4-0 on aggregate in the semi-finals earlier this year of the EFL Cup. Isak had joy against Arsenal, and it was Saliba and Gabriel in those games. So I think you've got it right with the one Arsenal defender on the bench. I guess I'd be tempted to split the risk and put Henderson in ahead of Emi Martinez, and then it's not double Villa. But then I look at Villa's defensive numbers in recent weeks, and they've been getting you clean sheets, and the double up is working. So probably stick with Martinez and Konza. You've probably got it right. And I guess the big question for you will be, do I get starts out of Sarr? Do I get a start out of Sarr if I keep him? Like, you're going to sell Eze and keep Sarr, and there's every chance Sarr misses out. But if he does, you hope he doesn't get a cameo and that Evan Nilsson versus City is actually fine. I expect Evan Nilsson to have some chances versus City.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, the double Villa defense has actually theoretically worked on paper, but actually I haven't realistically played double Villa defense in any of those weeks. I've had one, which has been all right because I've went with the route of hedging, which has been all right as well. But yeah, I think I'll be trusting Martinez over Henderson. Like you mentioned earlier, that fixture for Wolves, I'm expecting Wolves to score given the exhaustion of the Palace players. They might be partying, or they might not exactly care as much. I think this is a fixture. Again, we'll have so much to play for that it makes sense to trust the double up this week. And you mentioned the 4-0 aggregate for Newcastle. This was at a time when Arsenal had a lot to play for. Now Newcastle have a lot to play for, and Arsenal don't. So, I'm expecting something from Isak. I'm expecting Arsenal to concede. Now, Sarr versus Evan Nilsson is the last question in my team. I'm not exactly sure which way I will go. I think I will probably just play Sarr and hope that he starts simply because he has the better fixture. But I won't be surprised if I get it wrong and Evan Nilsson hauls on my bench.
Yeah. Do you fancy Evan Nilsson to get chances? Because Man City, I know they've been keeping clean sheets, and against Southampton didn't have a sniff, but City still don't look defensively as sound as the cities we remember from years gone by. And knowing they'll be playing 3 days after the FA Cup final, and Bournemouth attack's not bad. Evan Nilsson's not a bad own, and I own Kluivert, for example, and I'm benching Kluivert like you're benching Evan Nilsson, but I wouldn't mind a world in which they came off the bench.
Yes, I mean, the only thing that would worry me with Evan Nilsson is the fact that Bournemouth's attacking output has dropped off in recent weeks. Their attacking data has just kind of nosedived completely. So that's something that would put me off. But apart from that, I sort of agree with you where you say that it's this fixtures immediately after the FA Cup finals. This could be a nice spot for the Bournemouth attackers. It's just really sort of difficult to predict what's going to happen. I just think I'm going to stick with Sarr, but let's see where I'm at close to the deadline. I think that's realistically the only decision I will be making before the deadline, because the captaincy and the defensive benching dilemmas, I think, are fairly straightforward.
Yeah. You've got 3 Villa in place. You're probably not going to be buying Ollie Watkins this week like most. Is there a way in which you can try and get some Villa attacking points that don't go through Ollie Watkins? You've got Morgan Rogers, and Morgan Rogers is clearly a brilliant own. This isn't for you and your team, big man, but more people watching that can't get to an Ollie Watkins or have a Rogers already. Would you be tempted to punt on someone like an Asensio? Do you feel like that's too risky because the start's not guaranteed? We obviously know Jacob Ramsey is suspended. We know Tielemans is injured. We know Rashford is injured. Someone like Asensio maybe as a punt, would you fancy, or does that feel too risky? He has started the last couple of games, but he does seem to come off early.
Yeah, I think it's too risky for me. I don't think I'd go there personally. I just think there are better options to get over the last two game weeks. I mean, I mentioned the likes of Palmer, Saka, Watkins. In game week 38, you can punt on someone like a Semenyo, Kluivert, Evan Nilsson. There's so many players that you can get. I just don't think it's worth using that precious transfer on someone like an Asensio.
Yeah, okay, nice. All right, well, let's talk captaincy. Oh, no, we're going to show my team real quick. Yeah, my big dilemma this week is, do I go Watkins in, Isak out? That was always the plan, but I do keep looking at it thinking, Gianni, Isak's a really good own. Like, Isak is going to be great in 38, and I think 37, he could cause some problems. I do obviously have Cunha in this team, and if I sell Cunha to get to Ollie Watkins, I've obviously got a bit of money in the bank. I'm just short. Watkins is 8.9 and I'd have 8.7. I bought in Cunha with the Marmouche news as well, so I don't really want to sell Cunha. He's only been in my team 1 week and got me 0 points. But other than that, I'm well set. I'm excited to own Elanga as a differential. I'm excited to still be on De Bruyne for his last game at the Etihad. I think he starts. Nori keeps looking like he's going to mega haul, but only seems to do that when big man free hits in 34. So yeah, it's Collins is getting me points. I'm happy with that. Collins has been one of my best buys. I think I've had an 8 and a 12 or something. So yeah, big man, what would you do with this team?
It's tricky. I think Isak Watkins is something I would consider, but if you're chasing rank, then it's a bit tricky actually. It's a bit tricky. I'm trying to figure out what transfer you can make in 38. So looking at this team, I think Cunha to Evan Nilsson is something I would definitely want to do in 38. That would also allow me to have Kluivert. Would you be interested in doing De Bruyne to Saka? I think I would save actually.
De Bruyne to Saka was my plan. My plan was Isak to Watkins this week, De Bruyne to Saka next.
I think I would do De Bruyne to Saka next week. I would do Cunha to Evan Nilsson next week. Double Bournemouth attack for the last game week of the season would be very spicy. I think I like that for your team.
Yeah.
I think I would save. I don't think I would use a transfer this week because the transfers for game week 38 look a little better, I think.
Yeah, it just means no Villa, which is a bit rubbish considering we've discussed those 2 Villa fixtures are so good. But yeah, you can't have them all. And I've got to play against the template. And Watkins is going to be the highly owned captain. I really like Mbermo captain. So let's talk about captaincy. I spoke about Mbermo earlier, where like the narrative of Fulham being on the beach and Marco Silva leaving and all that. Andy did a poll which had nearly 8,000 votes. Like, this is a big sample size. Watkins out on top. Now, a lot of the people voting wouldn't have even owned Ollie Watkins, which is quite remarkable that he still comes out on top. You're thinking Mbermo captain, are you, big man? That's where I'm going, I think. Oh no, you're going Palmer. You've mentioned it, yeah.
I'm going Palmer, but I think if I had your team, I would go in Bomo. I
Yes.
think that Palmer, Watkins, and Bomo is the way I look at it, and then Salah's the fourth is the way I look at it in terms of being the best captains this week.
Yeah, I really like Mbermo as an option. I think he's, I think if he had scored a couple of goals in the last 2 games, he hasn't. He's just had assists in each of them when people have been captaining him. I think he'd be the highly owned captain this week if he had been hitting 10, 12 pointers. But because he's been hitting 5, 6 pointers, people are a bit like, oh, Mbermo's meh. But Fulham are on the beach, and Brentford, boy, do they have so much to play for. This is a West London derby that matters to Brentford. Win this game, Brentford, little Brentford, probably get European football if they win this game. And it could be Mbermo's last ever game at the G-Tech. Like, the narrative is there, isn't it?
Everything is there. The narrative is there. The form is there. It's just that you're hoping that it comes off. I do think that given how sort of strictly professional Thomas Frank is, he would have his troops ready to do well. I don't think Brentford are that sort of team that have been on the beach or will be on the beach for this one. They'll be well up for it, and I expect a good response against Fulham. I would. I just forgot to ask you, Gianni. Can you do KDB to Palmer in one move?
Yeah, I purposely left enough money in the bank that I can. Is an option, but selling De
I
Bruyne
think I think you should do it. I think
ahead of his
I
ahead
think
of
you
his
should.
last game at the Etihad.
Yeah, I think you should do it with your eyes closed. Literally,
Oh, I
I'm
knew
that
you were going
confident
to say
because the
that.
reason is, yeah, the reason is because I didn't exactly figure out what you had in the bank, and I assumed that it would be a transfer that would be out of reach. The reason is that you're chasing.
Yeah,
Palmer is not even in the captaincy poll that you've seen on screen, so you can see how big of a differential he is going to be. And if he comes off, then you're making massive gains. And I don't think any singular transfer can gain you enough that a captaincy differential can at this stage of the season. So I would definitely do the Palmer transfer simply because of the reasons of ownership.
yeah, okay. That rules out Cunha to Evan Nilsson because I want Saka for the final day. So it's 2 midfield transfers in that
That's
same spot.
no problem. No problem. I would
Yeah,
still do it.
I'm not so sure Palmer's going to bang versus Man United, mate. I'm not so confident in that move. I don't know. I just don't
I
feel
think
it.
I think
United
given
haven't been that. I know United have been losing games and they just lost like 2 to West Ham. But when you look at the XG, United haven't been that bad.
the thing is when you're looking at one isolated game week, data, stats, everything goes out the window. You're just hoping for some luck to go your way, right?
True.
And if it does go your way, I just think you need to put yourself in a position to get lucky. And if you do, then everything is fine. If you don't, then you've pretty much written off the season anyway, right? So
Yeah, yeah. The
it's
season's a
one
write-off.
last hurrah.
Yeah.
If it comes off, if it's one last hurrah, if it comes off, then I mean you're laughing.
Yeah, it's a good point. I will definitely consider it. And when I was making my moves last week, I did it with an insurance policy in place. And the insurance policy was De Bruyne to Palmer or Saka next week if I want to. So that money is there in the bank. I've got a little bit of buffer. I can wait till Friday to make that call. Good stuff, guys. Well, let us know who you're captaining. We'll let you know on Friday what decisions we're making. Come and watch us live, me, Big Man, and Dean. I think we're doing Friday. I think it's 3 o'clock UK time. But set the notifications when you subscribe to this channel, and you can come and watch us for an early deadline stream on Friday. Big Man, as always, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Gianni. Pleasure being on. Hope to see you again on Friday.
Good stuff. Thank you, Chasers. We'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.